everybody, welcome to the Comic Gamer Movie Show. My name is Deshaun, and today I'm here to review Secret Invasion, Episode 3, The Betrayal. Now, this show, like I said in my previous episode reviews, has been, let's say, responded to lukewarm. It's weird. Like, the hardcore MCU fans are digging it, but people who aren't hardcore MCU fans are not. And it's very confusing about this show because so many people kept saying they wanted the MCU to be more serious. They wanted the MCU to tell a more serious story. Then they tell that's less action-based. It's less about the explosions and actions and over-the-top sequences and more of a story. Hell, some people straight up said they wanted a drama. And I feel like the same thing happened in Endgame. I remember when Endgame came out. Most people were like, we loved it, obviously. Movie made damn near $3 billion. Clearly people loved it. But a lot of people, including guys like John Campea and whatnot, didn't like the first hour because they thought it was slow. They thought it wasn't enough happening. And in my brain, I remember at the time being like, dude, you guys asked for them to slow down and do character stuff and do drama and do character building. And then when they do it, you guys bitch and say that it's boring. So it's like, what the fuck do you people want? They give you something like Doctor Strange or Thor Love and Thunder, which is there's character stuff in there, but it's over the top, it's fast paced, it's go, go, go. Neither one of those movies made $1 billion. But then they give you something like this, and you're like, oh, it's boring, there's not enough action. I'm like, oh my god. Meanwhile, some of the best acting in the MCU is being done in this show, but nobody appreciates it. And it's mind-blowing to me. I don't get it. I don't get what people want. I don't. And it used to be pretty simple what people wanted, especially from the MCU. Especially for years, people would ask for certain things. But now I'm like, I don't even know if they want what they thought they wanted. You know? Because I thought people wanted a more serious, grounded show. And like I said, they give it to you, and it's not being appreciated at all. But I digress. I'm having a great time with this show, and it's different tone, and it's more serious espionage tone. But this episode, there is a few reveals. First of all, it's officially confirmed, yes, Gravik is trying to make himself and a couple other members Super Skrulls. Now, Super Skrulls, if you're a comic book fan, they go back way back to the Fantastic Four. In fact, Marvel couldn't even, I believe when Marvel was making Captain Marvel, they couldn't use certain Skrull characters, and they couldn't say the word Super Skrull yet because they didn't officially have the rights to the Fox stuff. So they couldn't say it yet while they were making Captain Marvel. So that was interesting. In fact, they just recently got the rights to be able to do a Super Skrull. Now, in the comics, the Super Skrull it's one guy. Now, the Skrulls end up making a task force of Super Skrulls. But it began with one Skrull. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But he had all the powers of the Fantastic Four. If you type in Super Skrull, he'll probably be the first one you see. He's got the Thing's arms. He's like half of his body's invisible, but he's stretching up, and half of his body, while he has the Thing's arms, but they're on fire, and half of his body's stretching up, and half of his body's invisible. The Super Skrull is he's a pretty well recognizable character. If you're a Marvel fan, you've heard of the Super Skrull, you've probably seen the Super Skrull. So it is cool. This is technically the first on-screen appearance of the Super Skrull. Now, we don't get to see Gravik in his full power set, but in the MCU, they're subbing out the Fantastic Four powers for powers that have been in the MCU. For instance, Coloxidian skin. Some people forget he got his arm chopped off and it got found. Groot's DNA, which we imagine probably got taken from, that were found on Earth, which probably happened, found it somewhere in Wakanda. And obviously the Extremis DNA. And if you remember Iron Man 3, Extremis was very powerful. Not only could it make you superhumanly strong, it can make you breathe fire, and it can make you heal almost instantaneously from injuries, as we see in this episode. But the episode is really about laying the groundwork for many things. First of all, Gravik's threatening to try to start World War III, as he's been trying to do. The reveal that he is, in fact, trying to make people superhuman. So when Gravik says he has a reason, Gravik himself has been thinking about the superheroes getting involved. So this show, more than any of the other shows, really took the time to get across not only why, from the good guys' perspective, they don't want to get the superheroes involved, but from the bad guys' perspective, that they're not just idly, hoping that Nick Fury doesn't call, Sam Wilson and Bruce Banner or, whoever else he can get his hands on. They're actually preparing for the event that the superheroes get involved by trying to make themselves Super Skrulls, just in case the heroes get involved. So, which is a very smart idea, because at the end of the day, Skrulls are Skrulls are stronger than humans, but they're humans. But, other than the shape-shifting, other than their outward appearance and their shape-shifting and being a little stronger than humans, they can get shot dead just like any other human being. So, at the end of the day, all it would take is for someone to come up with a way to fucking tell them apart, and then they get eradicated off the face of the earth. So, obviously, preparing for the humans, that's why they're making themselves the Super Skrulls. And I like that. I like that the bad guys actually are in their mind. It's not like the bad guys are just banking on the heroes not showing up. They're like the bad guys are thinking, hey, like, if this all works out in the bad guys' favors, Gravik's favor, which we don't think it will, he would be prepared to deal with the superheroes with his powers. But I digress. We get a nice little flashback to 1998 and see Nick Fury meeting his wife. Great scene between him and his wife, where she's pretty much giving him the same shit that a lot of people are giving him, which is, you ran away. And the feeling you get in the show is Nick was like, because other people were fucked up from the blip too, obviously. Big one being like Clint Barton, losing his family and whatnot. But Nick was fucked up because he couldn't do anything about it. Not only could he not do anything about it, he didn't see it coming. And all this work he's been doing with the Skrulls over the last 30 years and all this preparation he's been doing has been so that if an Earth-ending potential event's gonna happen, he's prepared for it. He has a solution. Not just dissimilar from Nick Fury in the comic book. It's kind of how Nick Fury in the comic book is. He always has a solution or an idea or someone he can reach out to. He has, doomsday plans. But for the first time ever, and this is the vibe you get, he hasn't spoken on it yet, but other people have kind of given him shit for essentially running away because he could not take the heat. He could not deal with the way things went down. He couldn't deal with the way he was taken out, and it really bothered him. And he went and made the space station, and he did what a lot of people do, what a lot of great men do, what a lot of geniuses do. He buried himself in his own work so that he wouldn't have to deal with it. Meanwhile, he basically left the Skrulls to fend for themselves. He left his wife to grieve and then came back and took off. So she gave him a little shit for that. But also, hint, that she was working for Gravik while he was gone. And it's almost confirmed at the end that she was working for Gravik. Also with another thing that I don't know if I'm going to mention here, but very shocking ending. We get some great sequences between Nick Fury and fucking Talos. Again, those two, like, you can feel the history between those two. You really can. You can feel the history between those two. You can feel the time spent together between those two. They're like two old cops, like two old detectives, like two grizzled old detectives. They're like two Mel Gibson. You know how, no, they're like two Danny Glovers. You know how Danny Glover and Lethal Weapon was always tired, I'm too old for this shit. I'm this close to retirement. Like, they're like two Danny Glovers at the same time, just fucking with each other. They got all this history. But ironically, even with all the history between the two, there's still so much they've never said to each other. There's still, to the point where Nick still doesn't understand Talos. Even after all this time he spent with him, he still doesn't completely understand the man. Meanwhile, Emilia Clarke's character, Gaia, Talos' daughter, she's trying to play double agent. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out too great for her. Now, I'm not sure if she's dead or not. I'm not willing to go as far as say she's dead. I mean, it'd be very shocking if they killed Emilia Clarke. I mean, Emilia Clarke, regardless of what you think of her, she's a pretty notable actor. And for the MCU to get a woman like that in there, I mean, like, that seems like a catch to me. You know what I mean? That, like, to get her, that's a cash. That's like when they fucking cast, like, that's like when Eternals was coming out. I was like, well, I'm gonna go on a limb and guess who isn't gonna die in this? Angelina Jolie ain't dying. But so, like, it was very shocking. Out of all the characters who could potentially die, there was only two that I was pretty sure who weren't gonna die. Well, three if you count Rhodey, but two, which was Nick Fury, obviously, he's in the Marvels, and Gaia, which I would be very shocked if she's actually dead. Hey, ballsy on you, but I would be very shocked. So Nick and Talos have to stop this guy from setting off this nuclear war, because I think he's about to use a sub to take out a fucking U.S. plane or something. So Nick and Talos have to go. They have to stop this guy, and they do. Through a lot of bullshit, through their own bullshit, they stop him. But unfortunately, like I said, Gaia had to help them out, and it didn't go too well for her. And the end of the episode sets up that maybe someone we know, someone we've known for quite some time, is an Avenger. I mean, not is an Avenger, is a Skrull. Now, I might make a separate video talking about how long has this character been a Skrull, but I think some people gotta pump the brakes. It ain't as crazy as it seems. But this was another fun episode. Shortest episode of the season so far. Most of the episodes have been 50 minutes minimum. This episode was about 44. So this was a very short episode in comparison. Like, not 10 minutes shorter than the other episodes. About 6 minutes shorter than the other episodes. Which, that's not a big deal. But I think it is worth noting. I hope that the next last few episodes, because we got 3 episodes left. So I hope those episodes are a little bit longer. And I hope this thing, because if I can feel the momentum on this thing starting to pick up, and I can't wait to see what reveal we're gonna get next week, because I'm curious of how they're gonna explain that ending. But another great episode, another 9 out of 10. I'm having a great time with this show. Very different vibe. I love the scenes between Talos and fucking Nick Fury. They carry the entire show, which makes sense because they take up the majority of the show. Every scene in this show is just so well done and just so well acted. Like, it really is. It's a straight up spy thriller, and I can't wait to see next week's. Anyways, thank you guys for joining the Comic Game Movie Show. Please be like, subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next one. Goodbye.